Good morning and welcome. It's Monday morning, December 7th, and this is a special live broadcast of LALATE Live Mornings, LALATE direct from Los Angeles. Good morning, and I see Lisa and Steve in the room. It's a big morning. The toast is toasting, the butter is buttering. I'm here, you're here. But did you leave me some bacon? Thank you for joining me on an exciting Monday morning. We're going to get through this. We're going to get to the finish line, and there's so much exciting news and a major announcement this morning from LALATE as well. I'm simulcasting this morning and watch on both Instagram and on LALATE's YouTube channel. So if you're tuning in at approximately 8 o'clock on the West Coast, you're watching live. So where is everyone watching from this morning? I see Antonio in the room and Sylvia. Hello, Sylvia. And there's Benjamin. And then on Instagram, I see Dorothy and Raymond, and I see Mike. And then also on the channel, I see Kathy. Nikki's in Philadelphia. We have Texas, and then we have Montana. Miami is represented. There's Miami. There's Columbus, Ohio. Taylor, Michigan. Virginia Beach. Oh, beautiful. Hello from St. Louis. What part of St. Louis, Robert, are you from? West Virginia, Gulf Shores, Alabama. That's gorgeous. West Virginia, New Orleans. Oh, one of my favorite cities ever. San Antonio, Texas. New York City, my second home. Rhode Island. Hello, Rhode Island. Athens, Georgia. Illinois, Toledo, Ohio. PCB, Florida, Johannesburg, Alabama, and then we got another person from Florida, and where y'all in the Instagram room? In New Jersey is Chocolate, and then Virginia and Nashville for Mary, Stingy, PA, Crawford County, Colorado, Connecticut, Maryland for Jennifer, Hawaii, and then we have Bay St. Louis, MS, San Antonio. Oh, wow. We got Delaware, another one from New Orleans, Snyder, Texas, from Sicily, Italy. Wow. Where in Sicily are you watching from, James? James is in Sicily watching me internationally. Come stai? Come stai? Buongiorno. Where are you from in Sicily? Lancaster, Pennsylvania, and then in the Instagram room we have Maine is watching for Lance. Hello, Maine, and hello, Miss Genty from Idaho, Stevenston, Pennsylvania. Beautiful town, beautiful town. Enid, Oklahoma. Patricia, you have a lot of earthquakes there. Cat from Las Vegas. Oh my goodness. Gotta keep it, gotta keep it a secret what went on this week in Las Vegas. Oregon is there. I see Ohio and South Dakota, Robbie. And then the Instagram room, we have UM from San Francisco, beautiful town. And then Jorge, Parlo Italiano. Yes, I do. And then we have Candace from Pennsylvania. Kiev, Ukraine. Wow. Hello, Ukraine. Wow. That's our second international this morning. One from Sicily and one from Ukraine. Anyone else internationally? This is incredible. Waynesburg, Mississippi, California, Egypt. Egypt from Mohammed. Wow. Where in Egypt are you watching from, Mohammed? This is very exciting. We're really going international today. Colorado, Grand Junction, Colorado. Beautiful, beautiful. Watachi, West Washington. Pennsylvania, and there's Perry, Oklahoma, great town. Southern Illinois, and then in the Instagram room from Atlanta, from the A, and then Oxford, Mississippi, Tennessee, Georgia, Somerville, Georgia. We have a lot of Georgia watching this morning. Mommy 1800 is from Detroit, and then Colorado Springs. Wow. Great sports town as well. Newport, Pennsylvania, Rochester, New York. Is it cold? I'm sure it's cold up in Rochester today. Wisconsin's probably cold as well. Long Island's tuning in. There we go. Wanda, Alabama. The eight Birmingham, Alabama is watching. Wow, how's your team doing? How's the team doing? And then we got Sarah wishing everyone Merry Christmas. Yes, Hugo from New Jersey. Erie, Pennsylvania. Oh my God, Verdun, France for Warden. Wow, Warden is in Verdun, France. So we got France, we got Sicily, and we have boy, we got a lot of international today. Really exciting. Team number one. It's Pueblo, Colorado as well. I love when I switch from international to American. I keep the accent when I'm saying, New York with an accent. And then Storkister says hello to everyone. Well, it's a big exciting room this morning. Man City, Pennsylvania for Paul. Good morning, Tawny. And did I miss anything, Brenda? No, you missed. They were giving me bacon. Wilbur from the North Pole is tuning in, and there's Eric from Carlton, Georgia, and Olivia from Mofftown, New York, and Grenville, Texas. Wow, we got a lot of people across the country. Brooklyn, New York, Ricardo Casajeras from Brooklyn, New York. Any snow yet? It's probably too early still for snow. I don't know. What's the weather like in Brooklyn today? And then there's Maine, the coast of Maine. Wow, that's beautiful. Amarillo, Texas. I know your town. Very good town. Sirloins at the casino. Yes, they're watching me in the casino. And then Love Lagus in the IG is watching from Houston, Texas. Hello from Houston, Texas, and West Virginia for Joey. Oh my goodness. Mount Pleasant, West Virginia. You got a little bit of snow? Wow. So you got a little bit of snow already. Northern Virginia. It's snowing in Ohio. At the casino in Minnesota. I think there's a casino in a lot of states apparently this morning we're learning. And then there's someone from Kansas. And how am I? I'm better. I'm only doing one ear pod today because this ear is a little bit, it's still not there yet. Hello from Miami. So major developments on your second stimulus check. Thank you for the international viewers who are tuning in. We'll have some fun for all of you, whether you're in the United States or internationally. And I really appreciate Sicily, France, and all the viewers internationally tuning in as well. If you've never watched LALATE live, we go live every day on Being a Mitch, which is on the afternoon show, to go over your unemployment questions, UI, PUA, and FPUC. Then Purple Power Live, which is at the end of the show, which end of the day, at about 7 o'clock Pacific Standard Time at night. And that goes over CARES Act 1. And then sometimes I go live on Holidays LA8, our next show at 12 noon Pacific Standard Time. And that's a midday update about your second stimulus check. Big developments on your second stimulus check and second stimulus package today across the board on both the state level and the national level. The big breaking news to start the new morning is, for the first time ever, LALATE is launching a new community page. A new community page. You've been asking, how do I reach out to the volunteers to get that stimulus, to get that free stimulus for rent, free stimulus for utilities, maybe state stimulus, maybe questions about EIDL. So for the first time ever, LALATE is launching a community page, which is actually its own web page. It's news.lalate.com/community. Pretty easy. That's news.lalate.com/community. And if you're watching live on the YouTube channel, you'll see it in the pinned comment, and you'll also see it in the pinned comment of the chat. On the community page, you got everything there, and it'll grow over time. It's starting first with the community volunteers on CARES Act 1 money that are helping you get free money from your state, whether it's checks, stimulus, rent, utilities, or food, and then bringing the EIDL mentor back into the mix in one place, our wonderful EIDL mentor, who will help you for any questions about EIDL, whether it's escalated benefits, raising your EIDL, if you have one, you're trying to raise it, or doing a recon, all this sort of complicated stuff that you may need additional assistance, and a direct link into the private, the original community help site that gave you information about how to get EIDL approved, doing it yourself. A lot of great information, direct contact information as well. The major developments on second stimulus overnight actually came on the community page, in which we learned that second stimulus was being given by states and now private organizations. Let me recap before I get to the national stimulus. First, states are now sending out stimulus checks. These are states, not the federal government, because states realize they have CARES Act 1 money unused from the first stimulus package. $150 billion was given to states. And suddenly those same states that said they had no money have found money, and now they're sending it out. So in the case of Arizona, Colorado, Maryland, they're sending out actual stimulus checks. Checks can be as high as $1,200 for all residents that qualify under a certain income level. You don't have to do anything. All you have to do is be a resident there, or they know where you are and they'll send you the check. This is incredible relief. When we say a stimulus check, we mean a check that doesn't require you to use it for a particular purpose. So you can use it to pay your bill, use it to buy some gifts. You can use the check for anything. What's important to understand is that the announcement so far has been a few states, but I fully am advising you that I believe that more states are going to be announced in the next few days. So if you don't see anything today, stay with me, because every day I'm updating as a new announcement's being made, and they're being made across the board. Now, the next stimulus that's being announced right now is rent-free stimulus. Yes. In cities and counties and states across the country that said they had no money, they said they had ran out of money, that they were going to go bankrupt. Suddenly they found hundreds of millions of dollars of free money that they're going to send out. Yes. So the new rent stimulus, this is free rent stimulus, is going out. And where is that coming from? For example, before I get to the details, things like this I put routinely on the community page, which is now news.lalate.com/community. And I'm listing these announcements as I hear them. So far, the announcements for free rent stimulus that's being announced are for Houston City, San Diego County, the whole state of New York, New York City, and then we have stuff coming in from New Mexico and Arizona as well. Really exciting. Then also counties across Georgia, including Atlanta City, DeKalb, Gwinnett. Everywhere across the board where we thought there was no money, suddenly there is money. And I don't want you to think that if you don't see it on a Monday morning when you're watching this recording, that it won't be there tomorrow, because it may very well be. Next, the exciting news is that states are sort of rolling out a lot of free things. Free stimulus checks, or free rent, or free utilities, or now they're doing extended benefits. So in some states, they're doing a lot of everything. And then some states, they're like, well, we'll do this one, but then that one. I did say New York. New York is having a free rent stimulus coming out across the entire state. In states like Missouri, which someone just asked on YouTube in the chat, in the state of Missouri, they have free rent in St. Louis County, but the entire state has free utilities, generally, and by calling the utility groups. Now, the big exciting news that we learned last night, boy, and we learned the night before, is that private organizations, yes, private, national, well-understood, well-regarded organizations have been paying viewers free rent in major cities across the country and states. What's going on here? So this free money for rent and utilities is being paid sometimes in states in which you've looked for your city, your county, and your state housing authority, and they say nothing is there. And then viewers have come forward and say, I got rent from this group. So what's going on? Here you go. Are you ready? Pull out a piece of paper and a pen. And if you're watching this live and you want to hear the information, you can replay it after it goes taped. Or if you're watching this as a taped broadcast, you can just push the back button and replay the section in which I'm about to say. In Mississippi, viewers are getting rent paid by Mercy House, Home Saver, and Salvation Army. In Philadelphia, a $4 million stimulus package is expected to be announced in the next day or two that may also include rent. In Indiana, viewers are getting rent from indianahousing.org. In Las Vegas, individuals are getting rent from Las Vegas's Clark County Services, but they're slightly delayed. In Kentucky, Community Action is paying utilities for viewers in Kentucky. In Pennsylvania, viewers are getting rent paid by United Way. In New York City, viewers are getting paid rent by One Shot. In Michigan, viewers are getting paid by Salvation Army. In Arizona, viewers are getting paid rent and utilities by New Leaf. In Georgia, viewers are getting paid by United Way. And in many different states, viewers are getting paid by Catholic Charities. Thank you, and to all those wonderful organizations who have paid any money, even if it's a dollar, to any of the viewers of this channel. This is why it's absolutely so important to subscribe and follow this channel. If you've not subscribed, please go to the Funds channel and hit the subscribe button right now. There's a subscribe button and an alert button, so you both subscribe and you get an alert when a new video goes live. For example, this morning I'm going live on Mornings LA, which is normally a taped show. And what's important to understand is I don't want you to miss something when something goes live. For example, the person who just asked, I didn't know that New York has a rent program. Yeah. Or how about San Diego County? Yes. You don't want to miss something when it's announced because the window of when it's open is very small and short. Finally, if you're just joining the broadcast, LALATE Today relaunched the community page, no longer just on the YouTube community, but on the original LALATE website. It's now news.com, news.lalate.com/community. It's in the pinned comment, and it's in the pinned comment there. There you'll see the 9 volunteers that can help you for finding grants, rent, stimulus, and things like that, and also the EIDL original mentor. And there you go. So now let's turn to the last thing that states are doing. So Lori just says, I got my rent paid by Salvation Army this month. What state was that, Lori? Lori Collins Fulton. I think I saw the last name correctly. Orange County in Florida is giving $1,000 tomorrow to people that qualify. So that's really exciting. Orange County, Florida had a stimulus check program 2 weeks ago, and a viewer just said they're going to go live with another $1,000 stimulus check to Orange County, Florida residents again. This is really exciting. So very exciting. If you're hearing any major breaking news, drop them in the chat above on YouTube, and I will repeat them. That's very exciting. So someone just said that they got something for somewhere else, and I missed it. So post it again until I see it. Really exciting. Miami-Dade. So Miami-Dade had a rent program. Miami-Dade, Broward, Orange, Palm all had rent programs, but it's believed that some of them are starting to shut down. So our governor doesn't care about Nebraskans, says Kerry. Well, if that's the case, Kerry, then look at the privates, which I just described on this channel. So now the last thing that states are doing, which is very exciting, is states are now saying, you know what? We need to give you extra weeks of unemployment benefits. Your unemployment benefits are about to expire. How horrible is that? I mean, you're in the middle of a pandemic. You're in the middle of the winter. You have snow on the ground. Christmas is around the corner, and you're about to lose all unemployment benefits. First, you lost your job. Now you're not going to have unemployment benefits. It's crazy. So what states are doing are the following. They're coming forward and they're saying, you know what? We're going to give you what's called extended benefits, which means we're going to give you extra weeks of benefits. States start with a certain number of weeks of benefits, like 10 weeks, for example. And they give you 10. And then when you run out of the 10, you're gone. Well, under CARES Act 1, the March stimulus package, they gave you something called FPUC. It's impossible to remember the name. It's a horrible name. FPUC. That gave you additional weeks of UI. That program expires in just a few days. So the states are looking at this and saying, oh my goodness, we're going to have all these people with no unemployment benefits in just a few days. And so what some states are doing is saying, no, we can't do this. So for example, in Hawaii, they're saying, we're going to give you additional weeks of benefits starting now to carry you to, February, March approximately. But what I want you to understand is that you need to watch your state. Every state is different. Someone just said in Texas, absolutely no way they're going to do it. The governor made it very clear. What's important to understand is you need to watch your state because some states may or may not extend the benefits. And it's really sort of dependent on whether they have the financial livelihood, and they may do it. And when they do it, you want to be ready. Now, the way you get ready is you certify for benefits. You want to make sure you continue to certify for benefits because when they do, you don't want to be late. What do I mean by late? I don't mean LALATE. What I want, good morning from Pennsylvania, from Philadelphia, says someone in the room. What I mean is the following. If Congress gets this done right, the congressional budget bill, which I'm going to go over next, and gives you an extension of UI, then suddenly people will be like, wait a second, I didn't certify for the week starting December 20th. Oh my God, I got to go do it. And then suddenly you're going to be a week behind the people who did certify for December 20th. So you don't want to wait. There you go. So now let's turn to the congressional budget bill and what's going on with that. It's Monday morning. It's about 8:15 on the West Coast, 8:20 approximately. And as we sit here today, there's been no substantive change in the negotiations since Friday. I expect the how do I say without cursing on the screen? I expect the bats to go crazy between today and tomorrow. They really only have to about tomorrow to get this done. Why? Because it has to be approved and it has to be signed by the president by December 11th. The fastest they could possibly do this is in a 2-day turnaround. Well, December 11th, December 10th, December 9th, it's pretty close. We're running out of time. And this is what's going to happen. You're going to hear chatter about a potential extension. I don't think it's going to happen. And then you're going to have either shutdown or no shutdown. And ironically, the thing that's holding up the negotiations is not the stimulus check. It's not the stimulus check. It's Mitch McConnell's desire for a liability provision. And the liability provision is so divisive that Democrats and Republicans have said, you know what, you don't agree to it, we're going to a shutdown. Now, it's sort of crazy that a provision that has been divisive since May, this is not a new provision, we've been hearing about this provision since May, would suddenly be inserted into a CR and then suddenly cause a shutdown. Now, you can look at this skeptical, and you know what I'm about to say. You can look at this skeptical and say, well, wait a second, you didn't have to put stimulus into the CR. That then you put stimulus into the CR that you know no one's going to agree to. And then you're going to say, well, if you don't agree to it, I shut it down. That's a nice way to automatically shut down the government, isn't it? Was this deliberately set up to shut down the government? Was this deliberately a setup to shut down the government unless you get this liability provision? I'll let you decide. Answer yes or no if you think it's yes or no. Do you think Mitch McConnell deliberately put a liability provision into this CR so that he could deliberately force a shutdown of the government unless he got his CR? Yes, says Scott. Yes, says Raymond. What does the IG room say? Do you think that Mitch Kelly says yes? Linda says yes. El Marie says yes. Bonnie says yes. Wilman, Chris, Miss Davis, absolutely yes. El Marie says yes. In the chat, in IG, Just says yes. Crafty says yes. Regarnis says yes. Cindy says yes. And Sarah says yes. Wow, so everyone is saying yes. This is very sneaky. And it's sneaky like I've never seen sneaky. What is this provision? Let me explain what this provision is. It's basically the following provision. You walk into a business. The business owner walks up to you with no mask, doesn't like you because you have braids in your hair, and coughs in your face, and you get COVID and you die. So then, guess what? Your family, your husband, that survives you after you die, wants to sue the owner of the restaurant for coughing in his deceased wife's face on purpose. Mitch's provision would say you can't sue. Cannot sue unless it was reckless behavior. So you're going to spend 5 years in court trying to prove whether it was a deliberate attack to sneeze in the person's face or accidentally sneezed in the person's face. It's a crazy provision. It's a crazy provision. If you don't take precautions to provide COVID precautions in your business, then you could just sort of skate around it and not get sued. It's really scary. And it's so scary that Democrats say, no way are we ever agreeing to this with this thing in there. Now, let's go back to stimulus checks because they sort of look bland compared to that scandal. The stimulus check situation over the weekend really got interesting. And what I want you to understand what's going to happen today is the following. You're going to have a bunch of people who really have nothing to do with the situation to slander stimulus checks in some regard. On Saturday, a very minor Republican senator that I didn't even know existed. Who are you? In my Mariah Carey voice. Who are you? I don't know her. Came out and said, we don't need stimulus checks. Well, I don't even know who you are, sir. And that's what you're going to have. There's a lot of crazy wacko people that never get on TV, wanting to get on TV by saying, we don't need a stimulus check. I want you to sort of ignore that. What I want you to focus on are the big players. Mitch, Joe, Donald, Nancy, to the extent that she does something crazy. I think Nancy and Chuck have been told to zip it. It's really Joe calling the shots here. Senator Harris, if she talks, she just doesn't seem to talk much lately. It's like, can you come out and say something about multiple stimulus checks? And then AOC, Bernie, and Josh Hawley, who's become really a great person in this entire situation. Josh Hawley, who is a Republican, and he's a senator. He's out of Missouri, constitutional lawyer, and he says you need a stimulus check. This is what they're saying. This is what Josh said. I will gladly work with AOC and anyone else who wants to help working families. Families and working people in need should be the first consideration in COVID relief, not the last. First, and what's important is he said families. When they say families, they're referring to people who may not work naturally. For example, senior citizens, or adult dependents, or veterans, or retirees, or people on SSI and SSDI. Those people need stimulus checks. What's important is that a stimulus check is needed because that is the person who's hurting the most. As you sit back here today in December 7th, the people who need relief the most are people who make less than $45,000 a year. Guess who does not make more than Guess who does not make less than $45,000 per year? Restaurant owners that own 4, 5, 6 restaurants that make $20 million a year in revenue. Those restaurant owners have net worths of 10, 20, 30, 40 million dollars. Why do you think they have a restaurant? Because they can afford a restaurant. So suddenly we're doing another stimulus plan to give a restaurant owner that drives Bentleys and Lamborghinis and has 40 houses, suddenly another round of stimulus. They don't need stimulus. If they couldn't figure out how to run their restaurant with takeout, like businesses like Olive Garden is making fortunes during this pandemic because they're doing takeout. If you're here in Southern California, they initiated another lockdown. Guess what happens with lockdown in May? Guess what happened with the lockdown in March in Los Angeles? The rich, lazy restaurant owners shut their doors and didn't do takeout and just got loans and sat back and laid everyone off. Do you think that makes sense? No. Sitting back and shutting your doors and not doing anything and collecting a nice stimulus check is not what we're talking about. What we're talking about is people who don't make a lot of money to begin with. $10,000, $12,000, $4,000 a year is how much they make, not $400,000 a year or $4 million a year with 5 restaurants in 20 locations. Those people shouldn't be getting stimulus. And so that's what Josh Hawley's talking about, is working families. These are people who have a job, or just families in need. Families in need stimulus, and they really need it now. Finally, eviction moratorium. It's just inhumane to not have eviction moratorium. On Thursday and Wednesday, I was screaming and shouting, where's the eviction moratorium? If you've been with this channel since the summer, in May, I was shouting that no one of the Democrats and the Republicans were doing eviction moratorium. And I was shouting for the President of the United States to do a standalone executive order for eviction moratorium. Donald Trump did good. He got an eviction moratorium issued. Thank goodness. The reason why an eviction moratorium is needed is because some states don't have one. They're literally saying you can be evicted, you can be thrown on the street. Well, the president's eviction moratorium is expiring on December 31st. His executive order for eviction moratorium expires in just a few days. And without an eviction moratorium, what will happen on January 1st? What will happen on January 1st? The problem creators who are out of New York and New Jersey, whose lobbyists are big apartment building owners or big landlords, will be excited to evict all those wonderful tenants and throw them on the street so they can raise their rent. There's no reason to not include an eviction moratorium unless you have banks or landlords as your lobbyists. No one would ever want to oppose an eviction moratorium. It is inhumane to oppose an eviction moratorium because eviction moratorium protects you from being thrown out on the street on January 1st. And so that's why Joe Biden did good on Thursday. He said, we need a stimulus check, we need an eviction moratorium, and we need a mortgage forbearance. I don't forget my property owners. I talk about you every day. You need a mortgage forbearance. What's important to understand, because I know it's confusing, is that a mortgage forbearance was extended by the federal government on Thursday, but that's only for mortgages backed by the federal government, like Freddie and Fannie, not for mortgages backed by Citibank or or your local bank. So that's what you need. Why is the president just doing another executive order to extend the eviction moratorium? That's a great question. There's a lot of things the president can do right now there's a lot of things the president could do right now by executive order that don't involve numbers. One, eviction moratorium. Second, mortgage forbearance. Some may argue he may be allowed by executive order to extend PUA and UI. And then I have always contended he has the constitutional authority to do another round of LWA. He did LWA. Well, on Friday, Larry Kudlow confirmed that there's $600 billion sitting around at SBA, and that Larry Kudlow said it should be repurposed. Well, $600 billion. $600 billion would be a stimulus check and some more LWA for about 4 weeks. It's very simple. And so this is what millions of Americans are starting to wonder, is when things are so obvious, why aren't they doing things so obvious? Why are things so obvious not being done? And it is no longer a political issue. It's no longer they're not doing it because they're trying to get a win here or win there. It's just now they're becoming idiotic. They're becoming inhumane. They're becoming out of focus. They're lost their eyes. President Barack Obama said the other day, we need new Democrats. We need new Democrats to run for office. Who do you think he was referring to? Drop in the comments below, who do you think Barack Obama was referring to on Thursday when he said we need new Democrats to run for office? He said we need a new younger breed to run for office of the Democrats. Who do you think he was referring to as potentially no longer listening to American citizens? I have a feeling you know. There we go. Pelosi, 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 Pelosi. The 3 comments in a row. And how about the Instagram room? Who do you think Obama was referring to that's not taking care of the Democrats? Pelosi, Pelosi. There we go. It's Pelosi. He's saying older people that are lifetime politicians. Pelosi. It's not taking care of people. And so what's important to understand is that people need relief. And this is not a partisan issue. Eviction moratorium is not a partisan issue. Mortgage forbearance is not a partisan issue. And stimulus checks is not a partisan issue either. It's not. You need to send out the stimulus check. So when you're done with this recording, take the video and share it. Tag it with McConnell's communications director. These are the people you need to tag because people were asking me the other day. First, you tag the people that support the proposition of stimulus checks, eviction moratorium. You tag one, Biden's transition team, Biden, AOC, Harris's Senate account, and Josh Hawley, who has about 200, 300,000 followers. So he'll see your tweets. There's no one else by the name Josh Hawley on Twitter, so it's pretty easy with that one. And Sanders, Bernie Sanders. Then You want to tag the people who aren't listening to you, who need to get on point quickly. Those are Tom and Jerry of the problem creators. You know who I'm talking about. You want to tag Mr. Mansionizing Mansion, and Mitch, the authors. Excuse me, Mansionizing and Mitt Romney, the authors of that horrible problem creators bill. And then you want to keep it in tone but respectful to McConnell and McConnell's chief of staff, not chief of staff, his communications director and his press secretary. They all have smaller accounts. Finally, some people are asking about FPUC, so let me answer that question as well. So, both of the proposals, there is no bill, both of the proposals call for an extension of UI and PUA to late January. And what's important to understand is that the FPUC that they're talking about, I don't think it's going to pass. It's $300 for 4 weeks. It's a little confusing. I don't see it's happening. So there you go. I'll have updates throughout the day. I may go live on holidays, LA. So join me for more. Thank you for the special live recording of Mornings LA. If you're watching this taped or you want to rewatch it taped to get those states that have now that state stimulus, just rewatch this video in about a minute or two. And also go to the community page, newly launched, which is in the pinned comment to this video and over there, that now you can reach out to the volunteers. And don't miss the early mornings recording, 2 from today. They will be on the channel. Don't miss those 2 early mornings LA recordings from earlier today. They were both very, very helpful. Have a great morning, and thank you for joining me for the special live recording. As always, stay informed, stay smiling, and thank you for joining me at simulcast on IG and Stay of LA for more.